Hey, it's Andrew Morgan, host of the Nomcast, the Netflix original movie podcast. Each week, we review the biggest Netflix original movies with special guests from the film industry, the music industry, comedians, and of course, our fellow podcasters. Check us out on the web at nomcastpod.com. Follow us on the socials at nomcastpod. And most importantly, listen and subscribe to us wherever you get podcasts. Hit that beat one time.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Dave.
And join us every Thursday for a new episode of Two Player Bros, a podcast about two guys who play way too many video games. Join me and Dave as we talk about the latest in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and VR news, previews, and reviews. We have it all, and we play it all.
And join us every other week for Post Game, where we play through and dive deep into our favorite modern classics and new releases.
That's Two Player Bros, available every Thursday wherever you get your podcast, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
No, you're gross. You know you're gross.
I don't.
Oh, whoa, that's not what we do here on FC.
That's what I do.
He's like adjusting himself in his car with the lights on. He doesn't even turn the light off in his car. Gremlins 2.
Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Dads. Gotta love them.
What have I done? Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it's because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartMedia, TuneIn app, wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
Holy crap.
That's right. I don't know. Changing it up. Stuff like that. Is that what they do? I don't know. All right. So how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent. You want to go hiking? You want to go on a hike with some guys?
Yeah, I'll go on the hike, but I don't think I'm doing the rope elevator thing.
That thing is awesome. We are going to be doing Shoot to Kill today, the 1988 movie. Let's get into it. 110 minutes long, rated R, which I appreciated. Production budget of $15 million. Opening weekend, it did $5 million. Domestic and worldwide are the same, so I don't think it did get a worldwide release, and we'll get into that. It was at $29 million. So, but this is considered a hit. This was considered a box office success. This movie,
I can see that, yeah.
Critically and obviously money wise. We're not talking. This is 88, so we're not talking like 2020 numbers here. 2019 numbers. Obviously, we all know the box office 2020 is awful. So before I get into the other stuff, Butler, what's Shoot to Kill about?
Sidney Poitier returned to the big screen in this action thriller after a decade-long absence, when a cunning murderer vanishes into the rugged mountains of the Pacific Northwest. Pursuing FBI agent Warren Stanton must exchange familiar city streets for unknown wilderness trails. Completely out of his element, Stanton is forced to enlist the aid of expert tracker Jonathan Knox. The killer has infiltrated a guided hiking trip led by Knox's girlfriend, Sarah. Viewers don't know which of the hikers is the killer, and the tension lasts well into the movie. I'll probably cut that last part out, but yeah.
Hey, whatever, man. You don't cut my stuff out, so yeah, go ahead.
I cut your stuff out all the time.
No, you don't. All right, so this came out on February 12th, 1988. It was production company was Touchstone Pictures, Silver Screen Partners, and Century Park Pictures Corporation. That's a mouthful. Distributed by Buena Vista Pictures, which I would assume everyone knows by now is Disney. On the 12th, it went up against Action Jackson. Did you see Action Jackson?
No, I know of Action Jackson, but I've never seen it.
Action Jackson is fun. It's Carl Weathers, right? It is Carl Weathers. It's like I know it's Carl Weathers, and I don't understand why I always doubt myself. I always doubt every time I do this. I always doubt this guy. It is all right.
No, because you don't want to be wrong on a film podcast. Then that's everyone's going to be like,
I always doubt myself. Okay, so yeah, Action Jackson, Carl Weathers, and actually Craig T. Nelson, who's evil in that movie. I remember that. Very evil in this movie. It also came up against Satisfaction. It wasn't Julia Roberts' movie at the time. It was Justine Bateman's movie. And Julia Roberts was in it. And then when Julia Roberts became a big star, it suddenly became her movie. And she was on all the posters.
Huh. Funny how that happened.
So in the week after, you also had an limited release that day. You had School Days, Spike Lee's first movie. So for some film history buffs out there, the 19th of February, which is the week later, you had just the movie Ironweed, which is Jack Nicholson. And the week after that, the 26th, you had Frantic, which is Harrison Ford's, and I want to say that's Polanski's movie.
Okay.
And then you had A Night in the Life of Jimmy Riordan, starring River Phoenix. Do you even know what that movie's about?
Nope.
Okay. So that movie is just River Phoenix trying to get with this girl. I believe it's Meredith Salinger who plays her. And like all these women are throwing themselves at him. And I just, for some reason, I remember this movie and I don't know why, but I've seen this movie and I've seen this movie multiple times. But this was 88. So I'm 13 when that movie came out. So I'm curious. Like, I almost want to go back and watch it. I think it's on YouTube as well. And we'll get into that. So the week before this movie, which was the 5th of February, you had The Serpent and the Rainbow, the horror movie. You also had She's Having a Baby with Kevin Bacon. And in the limited release, you had The Unbearable Lightness of Being, The In Crowd, Julia and Julia, and then Sister Sister. So do you know any of those movies?
I know of a couple of them.
Yeah.
The only one I've seen out of that entire list is School Days.
Really?
It's the only one I've seen.
You should probably check. The Serpent and the Rainbows is, I'm not going to tell you it's awesome, but it's definitely one you like horror movies. You should check that out.
Okay.
And then The Unbearable Lightness of Being is it's not a tough watch. It's not like, it's with Daniel Day-Lewis. So it's
that's all I know about it.
Yeah.
Well, and Julia and Julia.
You should see
sounds
Frantic.
familiar.
Frantic's pretty good.
I'll watch anything with Harrison. If I just haven't had a chance to watch it.
That was when like he was doing different movies and it wasn't, well, those aren't indie. Like when you're growing up and you're like, that's not Indiana Jones, that's not Star Wars. So I can understand why some of these movies probably didn't hit for some people.
I've got like a list. Like I have like 3 Harrison Ford movies I've never seen, and that's one of them.
I'm gonna guess The Mosquito Coast.
Mosquito Coast is not the one. At least had it, and then she sold it before I got a chance to watch it.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh come on, I wanted to watch that.
And you've never seen Frantic?
What's
the other one? Let me think. Regarding Henry.
I've seen that.
Okay. What would be another one that he's in that you haven't seen?
It's supposed to not be very good.
Oh, is it the one with the airplane? With is it Kate Blanchett's in that one? Not Kate Blanchett. Kristen Scott Thomas, where they're both their significant others die in a plane crash, but they find out that they were cheating on them with each other.
Nope, saw that one.
Okay, what was that one called?
I don't remember. I just know you're describing I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
I'm curious because usually the movies that people haven't seen about Harrison Ford in terms of like the big ones are like, Frantic or, you haven't seen the new one. You didn't see Call of the Wild yet, have you?
I've not seen Call of the Wild yet. I do want to watch it.
But that doesn't count. We're talking about older films.
But I do know I've read the book for Call of the Wild. So
the problem with Call of the Wild is that it's a fake dog and it's a fake dog. So it's just, there's no emotional attachment to pixels. I don't know. That's my thing. I'm old. Could it be? What could it be? Usually people haven't seen Regarding Henry.
I've seen that because there's a lot of them where I just ended up catching on like HBO or Cinemax.
6 Days, 7 Nights.
No, I've seen that movie. I actually don't hate that movie. Like everybody else hates that movie.
Everyone hates that movie because that movie came after a string of movies that he had every summer that were huge hits.
And then that was the one,
Clear and Present Danger. Yeah, The Fugitive. All these movies that came out were just, it was like August was Harrison Ford's month for like 5 years. Like much like July 4th was Will Smith's date for like 2 or 3 years. Like that's just how it works. All right, well, I'll move on. Obviously you haven't found it.
Well, I know what the movie is. Yeah. It's The Devil's Own.
Oh, really?
With Brad Pitt. Yeah. I've never seen that one.
You should see him. I mean, obviously, but I would see the Frantic and The Mosquito Coast before you see The Devil's Own.
Frantic's, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised I haven't seen Frantic. That's supposed to be one of his better.
It is.
He's supposed to be good in it.
Yeah.
Devil's Own is not supposed to be very good, but it's Brad Pitt and Harrison Ford.
It's not.
I'm interested.
It's not as good as it should. Like people were expecting a lot of big things out of it because it was Brad Pitt was like huge.
Yeah.
So, but it's not terrible. It's just not what everyone wanted. Let's put it that way. All right. So moving on to The Shoot to Kill, directed by Roger Spottiswoode, who you may remember from our episode of The Best of Times. He directed that. So that's 2 this season we did. It's funny how when we do certain seasons, like directors and writers and the same people pop up within the whole.
I do. Yeah. That's interesting. Especially ones that aren't like big time.
Right.
Although he has, he's done some stuff.
Oh, no. Absolutely. He's also done 48 Hours, Terror Train, and then Turner and Hooch, which they're remaking ridiculously for no reason.
I also like The Sixth Day that he did.
Oh, I don't like The Sixth Day.
You don't like The Sixth Day?
I like the idea. There's not a lot of stuff in there I like.
Well, see, I like, it's like kind of campy, and I kind of like that.
I guess. I do like the idea of it. I do like the science fiction part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 3 screenwriters here that each worked on the script separately and I do not believe together. But you have a story and screenplay credit for Harv Zimmel, who's done the TV show The Young Riders, some episodes there, and some episodes of the TV show The Sentinel. You had a screenplay for credit for Michael Burton, who his only credit is he wrote Flight of the Navigator. And you had also a screenplay credit for Daniel Petrie Jr. He has actually nominated for an Oscar for writing for Beverly Hills Cop. He also did The Big Easy and Toy Soldiers. He's also he's a producer on this movie. He actually produced The Sixth Day, as well as No Tell Motel and An Ordinary Man. Cinematography by Michael Chapman. He was nominated for an Oscar for Raging Bull, The Fugitive. He's also done Primal Fear and The Lost Boys. He recently passed away, actually, this past year, 2020. Composer John Scott, who's done The Final Countdown, another episode we did this season, earlier in the season, actually a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
He also done Greystoke and Lionheart. Edited by George Bowers, who's edited The League of Their Own, Money Train, and From Hell, another episode we did. That was actually last season.
That was last season.
He's two editors on this movie. Garth Craven is the other editor who has edited Soap Dish, Return to Me, and then Legally Blonde. And then last producer, Ron Silverman, who has produced Vision Quest, Krull, and Brubaker. I don't know. You know about Krull, right? You've seen all those. No?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as Mike said before, you had Sidney Poitier in here as Warren Stanton. For those who don't know who Sidney Poitier is, shame on you. But also he's in the Blackboard Jungle, Lilies in the Field, In the Heat of the Night, and the movie that we did, Sneakers. He has an Oscar. It's an honorary Oscar, but he probably deserved a couple Oscars for the movies that I just listed.
Absolutely.
Tom Berenger as Jonathan Knox. He is nominated for an Oscar for Platoon. He's also in The Big Chill, Major League, and the movie Shattered. Kirstie Alley as Sarah Rennell. She is in the TV show Cheers. Obviously, it's Rebecca from Cheers. She's also in the Look Who's Talking movies, and she's in Drop Dead Gorgeous. Clancy Brown.
And
I'm sorry.
She's
I apologize.
in Star Trek.
You know what's funny? I was going to write that down there, and then I said,
Butler will bring it up.
He's going to bring it up. So just real quick, she's in Wrath of Khan. She plays Savick.
Yep.
She's the same character that Kim Cattrall plays in 6, right?
No.
But she was going to be, right?
She's the same character as in The Voyage Home, played by another actress who wishes them off into Vulcan. Maybe she was, and I don't know, but I mean, then she turns bad then. That's number 6.
I remember either you, and I was going to ask you this because you're the Star Trek guy.
Right.
That Kim Cattrall's character in 6 was supposed to be her.
I can kind of see that.
That would have been so much better of a betrayal in terms of the impact of that betrayal, because you know what I mean?
And it would be a nice bringing, because that's the end of their adventures. That would take that whole thing full circle in terms of the movie saga, for sure.
Yeah. I think
because she is kind of like a snarkier Vulcan too. So you can kind of, when she does betray him, you can kind of see it. But
then you would also have that betrayal of Kirk as well, because obviously she fell in love with Kirk's son in 2, and you know what I mean? So it's also a Kirk betrayal as well. I don't know why we're but yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Well, let's keep going. All right, let's keep going.
All right, let's get to the hikers.
No, we're done with the hikers.
We have Clancy Brown as Steve. He's from the Shawshank Redemption. Anyone who loves the Shawshank Redemption probably knows what character he played. He's also in Starship Troopers, and more recently, he's in Promising Young Woman. Richard Mazer as Norman. He's in The Thing, License to Drive, which I'm still trying to get Butler to watch, Forget Paris, and always popular Encino Man. Andrew Robinson as Harvey. He is in Hellraiser, Cobra, and The Puppet Masters. Kevin Scannell as Ben. He's from The Player, Turner and Hooch, and Milk Money. Mr. Scannell passed away 2019. And then Frederick Coffin, terrible name. That has to be a stage name, right? He plays Ralph. He's in Identity, Wayne's World, and Hard to Kill, and he also passed away 2003. Actually, I believe right after he did Identity, because that's the 2003 film. All right, Butler. I suggested this movie to Mike.
Before we move on, Andrew Robinson also has a Star Trek connection.
Oh, that's right.
He played Garrick in Deep Space Nine. All right. He was a major character. Well, he was a minor character.
So when this edit comes out, I expect the nerd alert to pop up.
Nerd alert? I had to find a new alert for the nerd alert. Oh, because it can't be the ding.
Well, the ding's fine.
Oh, maybe it can be the red alert.
The ding is always like
the additive.
You're adding something in that we, in case like when we're talking.
Maybe I'll have to have a red alert sound when I do Star Trek stuff.
But just not so loud, so I don't almost turn the car through and I'm listening to the podcast.
Or the Star Trek badge sound.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that would be that is a nerd alert. Yeah. So, like I said, I suggested this movie because I saw this movie a few times, not recently, but probably growing up, I saw this movie quite a bit. And Butler never saw it, never heard of it.
I had heard of it.
Okay. I apologize.
Yeah.
So he, and there's a couple of facts I've got in here about the movie in and of itself, but I think this is probably going to be a episode that's heavy on what we thought of the film and just certain things in there in the movie in and of itself. But I'm curious as to what you thought of the movie, because this movie came out a year after you were born, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious what you thought. Oh, hold on. Just to let everyone know, this movie is royalty free.
Oh, do you want to talk about that first? Yeah.
So we actually got this. We watched this movie on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And
that's the only place we could watch.
Right. Which we were both surprised because it's free. It's royalty free, which I still don't understand why. You know, I don't understand how no one has the rights to this movie. And you can have it anywhere. You could actually, can you remake this movie for free without?
Ooh, that I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works.
It's royalty free for the rights, but I don't know about story and stuff like that.
Well, that's okay. But anyways, the movie in and of itself is free to watch. So that's why it was on YouTube. That's how we watched it. But
right.
Go ahead, Butler. What'd you think of it?
I really like this movie. I mean, this is like I like these kind of movies. I'm surprised that my parents were never big fans of this movie and didn't have it on VHS, because that's a lot of the stuff I absorbed when I was younger in the 90s was like, here's these cool cop movies of these action thrillers. And then it was nice going back to one I had never seen before that took place, 1988. So it's like, that's the year I was born and look how the world looked and stuff like that. But the one thing I didn't like was their shtick of, here are all these hikers, any one of them could be the bad guy. They got rid of it way too fast for me. And I was kind of like, you didn't really give me a chance to narrow it down. Like it was always going to be Clancy Brown.
Well, you know that now.
I know that now, but he was also listed third. So I'm like, I know he's the bigger one out of the hikers.
Yeah. You mean of the total cat? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And I know a couple of them were like bad guys, usually play classic bad guys. But I knew it was going to be Clancy Brown, but they didn't even give me a chance. They were just like, all right, this guy needs to be saved. And then Clancy saves and the gun drops. And it's like, oh, no, it's okay. I'm a cop. And Clancy Brown saves a hiker only to throw him off the edge in the same scene.
I actually really like that scene. Like the whole scene when he makes them all,
when he kills them all at once.
Oh my God. When he makes that guy jump, I'm like, oh my God.
I can't do it.
There?
And he just pushes the gun against his head.
What are you doing there? Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But it was just, I kind of wanted more of that tension to build, and they didn't really give me that. But other than that, I thought it was a really fun film. But I have problems with the ending, which we'll get to.
Yeah, no, I have some issues.
Yeah.
And there's
it's not perfect.
No, of course not. Nothing is. It's a simple film. It's a simple story. In this movie, the one of my notes within the film is, I don't know if I like the comedy, the buddy cop stuff they do during the movie. I don't know if it fits it. It's in and of itself, it works. I just don't know with the seriousness of what's happening, like what they're going after, the bad guy, if that works.
I don't think you'd see it now. I think it would stay a lot more serious if you did it now. But I get that was kind of the time, was like, oh, it's got to be a buddy drama. So they've got to be buddies. But I also don't feel like it fits because they never slowly become friends. They just kind of get angry, have this moment, but then lose the moment again, have the moment, lose the moment again. They never earn a friendship, I don't think. Like in all these other buddy movies, you see them earn that friendship to the point where obviously there's no shoot to kill too. But if there was, now they'd be friends. Like, I don't get that idea that the movie ends and I figure they just go their separate ways and they're not really friends.
Well, the movie starts off too very serious. Like the movie it's very, very
the movie starts
serious.
off awesome.
Yeah.
I love the start of this movie.
Okay, go ahead. Talk about that.
So the movie just starts. It just immediately, you get the break-in of the jewelry store, someone grabbing pounds and pounds of diamonds, and it's just like they leave some diamonds behind. It's like, why are they leaving diamonds behind? They're robbing this place.
It's a terrible way to wrap them up. Yeah.
Yeah. Sidney Poitier comes in and they've got the jewelry store owner in his pajamas, and he's the one that stole the diamonds, and he's refusing to be helped because he's all nervous and stuff. And then you find out that his wife's been held hostage. The murderer killed the dog, the guy who's trying to murder their dog in front of him, holding the wife hostage. Sidney Poitier goes and he works with the FBI, surrounds the house, and they have this big standoff, which is awesome. And the killer's obviously got his voice kind of muffled in the phone, giving him orders. And obviously Sidney Poitier is like, well, make sure you snipe him. Yeah. Does the regular cop stuff, which pisses off Clancy Brown's character.
Whoa, we don't know who did it.
We already said it. And so he just shoots the maid. He goes, let's the maid. Oh, we need just send the maid out.
Well, I'm going to send the maid out with a message.
Yeah. So shoots her right through the chest.
Yeah.
And he's like, holy crap. They follow, Sidney Poitier is supposed to follow him alone to a dock. Obviously, Sidney Poitier again has the sharpshooter in the back trying to make sure they get this
Not hiding in the best possible way.
Hiding, yeah.
Jeez.
Get over my shoulder. Hold on. He's like adjusting himself in his car with the lights on. He doesn't even turn the light off in his car.
Yeah.
And I get that you need to see the thing so that the audience needs to see the characters, but it's like, come on. So obviously Clancy Brown sees that and goes, go yourself to the front. I don't want that sniper to get me. And I have her in front of me this whole time. And it's like, Sidney Poitier is like, oh, he saw him. And it's like, yeah, he fucking saw him.
Well, I like when he tells him to throw the bag of diamonds.
He barely throws
He's like, Jesus Christ, you can't throw any farther than that. I'm just like, why would you say that? Like, that's just a weird line to say.
I like it because I thought the same thing. I was like, that's not a throw. So he gets the diamonds. He gets away. He ties the wife up to a pole while he's trying to get off a boat. Don't follow me or I'll kill her. Sidney Poitier, okay, realizes he's been had. I'm not going to follow him.
And he says to him, he's like, this could have been so much easier. And he's like, he says something. It's like, I understand. He's like, no, I don't think you do. And then he shoots through the eye.
No matter what. Yeah, that's his thing. He shoots him through the
weird
left eye.
Weird staple to have there.
That's gross.
That's and then the boat goes off. They chase the boat. He's hiding under the dock, and he's on the run. Yeah. No, it's
really exciting.
Gritty. It's a gritty.
It is
opening.
very gritty.
But there's the whole movie is gritty. The whole movie feels like that. Just the exception of their interaction with each other when Knox and Stanton, which is Poitier and Berenger, when they're going after Sarah, which is Kirstie's character, and Steve, the bad guy, Clancy Brown. So they just have like a back and forth that, like the moose thing. Oh, did you see the moose? Like that stuff when he fires the gun.
All right, yeah.
When he fires the gun to get the horse to run off. Well, I'm thinking no one hears that.
Well, I think that's why Knox looks at him like, come on. But also they're days away. They're trying to catch up to him.
Yes.
So I don't think they would hear the gunshot.
It's a chase. It's a chase movie. It's a nice location. You talked about the rope cart. That's actually the same location where they shot First Blood.
I had read that,
which is pretty cool. It's like I said, the locations are great. My one big thing about the ending is I kind of wish they just stayed in the woods.
I do as well. Yeah.
I don't like they have a whole thing where they go off, and we can get into it later or now or whenever. But I always wanted them to just stay being chased at, like just be a big chase within the woods. Because that stuff was more interesting to me. Stanton out of his element, Knox kind of like begrudgingly helping him. And they don't really set up the character relationship between Knox and Sarah. You get the idea they're a couple, but they're not married. And I didn't understand.
Oh, are they not married? I thought he calls
they have different last names. So granted, that's an outdated way of thinking. Yes, I understand that. I'm not saying that, but I don't ever remember them saying they're married.
Oh, I thought that he does say it's his wife.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
I don't know.
You do know that they're together. Like, oh, well, Sarah and ever since Knox, it's love at first sight kind of a thing they say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kirstie is kind of wasted in this movie. She could be played by anybody. I mean, granted, you're in a movie with Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger, who's already done Platoon at this point. It's just like, yeah, I'll be in this movie.
No, she was on Cheers at this point. This is
the height of Cheers, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why she's in it.
No, I get that. But it's just like, why she would say yes to a movie that she has very little to do in. But again, with the people that are in this movie, you don't. Yes, Sidney Poitier is back for the first time in 10 years. At that point, people probably thought he was done making movies.
Well, he was not done making movies. He was directing movies.
Well, I'm just looking at the phone. I meant, yeah, I know he's directing movies, but I meant like being in movies, like starring in movies. You don't say, no, I'm not going to not act with Sidney Poitier. That's awesome. That's an awesome honor.
And what's funny about Sidney Poitier's, the movies that he's directing, they're all comedies. He directed Stir Crazy with Richard Pryor, which made like $100 million.
Right.
So it was a huge hit. But on the flip side, he also directed Ghost Dad. So it was just, I was looking through his filmography in terms of the movies that he directed, and there were interesting choices compared to like what he's done as terms of on screen.
Well, you probably prefer directing comedy. I mean, you do dramas for so much. They are a bit of like a drag, I guess. You want something maybe lighthearted. Maybe he was done making things that were kind of depressing.
Do you think this movie would be, I think it would be worse if Poitier wasn't in it? Because I think
anything would be worse without
Poitier. But I think he elevates this movie to another level. Just the tenacity with what he's trying to get this bad guy, the kind of like the guilt that you can sense that. That's why I really keep going back to the comedy, the little buddy comedy stuff they do. I really think that undercuts the emotion of his character a little bit.
See, I don't really think it does. I think for him, because he's an FBI agent, it's work for him. I mean, not that he doesn't care. He wants vengeance against this guy. He got the better of him and he hates that.
Right.
But his comedy is also still just, you got to be able to put that behind you. You got to be able to do the job and live and be a person. So I think to him, murder, and he says he's been up against the mafia, the Ku Klux Klan, the Russian mob, which
the KGB, which
the
are
KGB
from movies.
All movies he actually did go up against.
He tells Knox that the mafia he was in Let's Do It Again. Ku Klux Klan, it was In the Heat of the Night, which is if you have not seen In the Heat of the Night, and I'm not talking about the TV show. The TV show's fine. But if you have not seen the movie In the Heat of the Night, you really should, because it is really, really good.
You should watch all of Sidney Poitier's films.
Seriously. He's also, and just to finish that, when he says he went up against the KGB, that is also in the movie Little Nikita that he was in. So yes, we are obviously big fans of Sidney Poitier here. So I mean, if you should really seek him out if you can.
Yes. He deserved his honorary Oscar.
He did, but he should have got an Oscar.
Yes,
agreed.
He should have gotten all of them. But I think his comedy is kind of works within that. Now, Tom Berenger's character flip-flops. That I don't really like when he's a little bit more lighthearted, because
he's a jerk in the beginning. It's a real
he's more right, yeah. Which he kind of is right to do. Like, the love of your life, you live in a cabin. The only person you ever talk to has been captured, and she might die. Mm-hmm. And here's this guy from the city telling you, "I'm going with you," when he's going to slow you down.
Yeah.
When you need to get her.
Yeah.
But then that kind of energy comes back, goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back, goes away in his character. And I don't think that's Tom Berenger's fault at all. I think that's more the script and the lines.
I think this script is, because I know that one of the writers, and I should have gone back and double check, but one of the writers is an outdoors guy. Like, that's his thing.
Right.
Like, so there's a note where this movie's plot is basically a MacGyver episode a year later.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's the same writer. It's the same guy that goes over and just brought it over. So this is kind of like his thing. So this is more of a plot based movie than it is a character based. And I'm assuming that any character was brought onto the screen by the actors.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whether that's in the edit or not, or in the cut. So I don't think that was coming from the actual script in and of itself, except maybe just on a superficial level. Mm-hmm. And they probably had to filter that in with anything that they wanted to put into there.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wanted to talk about just some things within the movie of itself in terms of not the direction, but maybe the direction, but just kind of not of the plot, but just of the making of the movie. And I wanted to ask you what you thought about the fade to blacks. There was 3 of them.
I was fine with them.
See,
I honestly didn't really
felt very TV movie-ish. Very TV movie-ish.
This is an 80s movie.
Yes.
So I kind of forgave it.
Okay.
And I felt like the budget wasn't exactly the biggest budget.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, it's 15 million in 1988.
Yeah, that's not bad. But when I was watching it, I was like, I'm all right with it.
Okay.
I think there was one, and I can't remember what it was, that did seem a little out of place. But the other 2 you mentioned, I don't even remember.
But honestly, I don't even know if that's, again, we watched this on YouTube. I don't even know if that was part of the
that's
download.
The thing. The runtime is what that you read? I read
the runtime was 110 minutes and it was 147.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's just kind of.
They sped up the credits or something?
Maybe. I knew it said 147. I do remember that, but I have 110 here. Yeah. I mean, maybe there's some stuff that we missed. I would hate that, because I already was. And part of me didn't want to look up this note, because I don't like watching it in the wrong aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But part of me was thinking, is this 235? And I'm not watching a 235. What is going on here? I was just like, nope, don't look it up, because you just anger yourself. You just anger yourself. You won't watch the movie. Like that.
You have to watch the movie because it's the only way to watch it.
No, I understand that. Okay. So the other thing, you mentioned the 80s. I was not a fan of the music. I thought the music was weird.
Oh, I was okay with the music.
Oh, it was very like
my first note is there's those synth drums when the cops are going down the road and
well, let's compare it to another 80s movie. Let's compare it to the movie that we did, Thief.
Okay.
Like, the music in Thief is by far and away better, much better, and more. I don't know. It just fits that grittiness of this. This one was maybe gritty light. Let's put it that way. It just felt like it felt like I was watching a TV movie sometimes. And these are nitpicks maybe, because I enjoyed this movie, but these are nitpicks.
I will say the music at the beginning fits more with that city vibe than it did once you go into the forest. You kind of want something a little bit more expansive, maybe. Maybe you want to shift in score. Like, hey, give me those synth drums when we're in what city are they in originally?
Well, it's up west. I want to say, was it Seattle? No,
Maybe-
they're in San Francisco.
San Francisco?
Because the cable
Okay.
cars. No, the jewelry heist
Is
happens in San Francisco.
Right, because he's got
yes.
California plates.
Right.
So if it's San Francisco, do some kind of city stuff for that. And then go into more of a sweeping orchestral score. Like, you're obviously on a bunch of synthesizers. I don't think they had a full orchestra. But you could do like the fake violins or something like that, or have a couple strings or piano, or really mute it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But it didn't really bother me too much.
Well, the scene that I think about is when they're on the horses, the montage stuff, and they're chasing
Tracking along.
after,
Right.
catching up to Steve, the bad guy, and Sarah. So it's at that point when they're playing that. I'm just like, oh, come on. Like, that kind of threw me out. Okay, but that's fine. I wanted to ask you this. So the opening shot of the movie
Mhm.
is the cable car. Is that right down the middle or to the left a little bit, and you just see the cable?
Right. Yep.
Okay. And then, which is a really nice shot. It comes up, moves over, and then we get to the car driving, right? Now, my question to you is, I thought that was that's a nice open, but it means nothing because it's not connected to anything within the story. If you're going to sit here and rationalize that cable car is Steve and he's, kind of like that kind of stuff, so I think opening shots really pack a punch when they're really cool opening shots, but they actually reference or mean something to the movie in and of itself, whether it's a metaphor, whether it's actually connecting, like you come up and they're on the cable car and they get off,
right.
But a cool shot, just to have a cool shot, does not really pack the same impact as anything else.
I mean, it could be there because it's more like a city thing.
Maybe.
So it's like, hey, here's trolley, here's machines, here's car.
See, I don't think so. I think it's like, well, let's start off here. You know what? Let's start off here, and the car's going to drive by. And we got
San Francisco,
the cable
so
car
the
coming
cable
up.
cars.
Oh, wait a minute. What's this? Is this the cable underneath us? Oh, put the camera down, and they'll pan up. It's like that to me. Like, yeah, that's a great shot, but what does it mean to the movie? Like, you're telling a story here. What is this? That's like when you write scripts. When you read a script, you never see like the phone rings. Hello, how are you? How are you? Nobody writes that dialogue because that dialogue is superfluous. You don't need it. That dialogue is assumed that's what people are going to say. And obviously when you're shooting the movie and you have it in the movie, that's just them. The only people I will tell you right now, the only writers that I would know would purposely put that in a movie, and I will be right there going, yes, that's why it's there, is the Coen brothers. The Coen brothers write their scripts where if it's in the script, it's in there for a specific reason. So their shots are not superfluous. Their shots are not just wasted. And not that I'm trying to give this movie a hard time.
Sounds like you're trying to compare it to the Coen brothers.
But what I'm saying is when I see that opening shot and it doesn't connect to anything, it goes off in my brain. And then I'm just like, why is this shot here? Like that. I'm curious like what you thought of that. Well, not just that shot, but what you thought of me and my hypothesis about opening shots, I guess.
I think you're right. I think they should mean something. I think they should have something to do with the movie. I think a better opening shot would just be the San Francisco skyline and just maybe a couple like montages of the streets at night. Something that really jars with the rest of the movie.
I think a good opening shot would be with inside the jewelry store, and it's just a hard pan. It pans over, and you just see the outside, and then the car comes into view, and the camera camera's like, oh, follows the car. It comes up to the door, and then you cut to the scene where he drops the keys and all that stuff, and you do it that way. That to me would be a better shot.
That could work too.
But regardless, that's
you need time to do the
you're right.
all the opening credits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think it bothered me anywhere near as much as you. But I get that. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me where I'm watching this movie and I go, this movie stinks. I'm going to turn it. I need a break. It's just, to me, when you're shooting a movie and when you're telling a story, everything on screen should at least mean something. And if you're going to give me some BS rationalization to what that shot is, not you, but the writer, the director, whoever,
right.
I'll take it. I'll take that. But if it's just like, it felt like the shot was just, I thought it looked pretty cool. Like, well, yeah, I feel like a lot of shots look pretty cool, but I don't do them unless they mean anything. But okay, maybe that's just me. That's fine. We talked about this real quickly, and I'll bring it up again. There was 3 titles to this movie.
Yeah.
So the original title was The Mountain King, which is terrible. The alternate title for the UK release, which I believe was a home box office, I don't know if it was a theatrical release,
right,
was Deadly Pursuit. And do you know why it was Deadly Pursuit?
Because there was a shooting rampage that had just happened, and they thought that by using the word shoot in the title, it would be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
In bad taste?
Bad taste, yeah.
Well, what's funny about, well, not funny, but what's really poignant about this is that the Hungerford Massacre this rampage, the guy just basically, I'm not going to say this guy's name because he doesn't deserve the credit, doesn't deserve any kind of name recognition, but he goes out and he just starts shooting people. And that massacre was one of the major moment in UK history because it pushed them to ban assault rifles. And like, that was what kind of like pushed it. That, and there was another, I believe maybe either 6 months or a year earlier where there was a shooting at one of the schools there, or one of the primary schools, like somebody killed a bunch of people. So I think, so this was part of it. This was a big deal in the United Kingdom and Britain. So I just thought that was interesting in terms of historical and whatnot. But yeah, I didn't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Do you also know that Poitier is left eye dominant?
I did know that, but he's right hand dominant.
Which is, what did they call that? Cross-eye dominant.
Cross-eye dominant.
So if you look in the movie, which I didn't catch,
I caught it.
Okay, so in the movie when he aims, he's right-handed, and when everyone aims right-handed, they shut their left eye, to kind of, I'm shutting my left eye as I do this,
yes.
to kind of like focus with your right eye. But Poitier is left eye dominant, so when he's holding the gun in the right hand, he's closing his right eye, and it looks awkward.
It looks really
but
awkward.
That's called cross-eye dominant, but that's how he is. So I thought that was really interesting.
I was reading, I was like, how do you freaking know that?
Yeah, right? Well,
like, did he tell somebody that?
He must have, because that's just something that he must have said, like, well, why are you shutting the wrong eye? It must have come up.
Yeah, because I was like, that's so specific. I did think that was really weird because it happens on the trolley. Or not on the trolley, when they're on the ferry, he does it.
Yeah.
And he's aiming at Steve. And I'm just like, oh, Sidney, no.
So you pretty much, did you have anything in this movie that kind of, you didn't like the ending? So why don't we talk about the ending?
Ugh, the ending.
Oh,
well,
geez,
right. So I don't like, it's not like I didn't think everything was perfect. I didn't have as many issues with the music and stuff, but I did think there were some parts that didn't really work for me. Like I said, I thought that the Hunter group should have had more tension there. I thought Sarah was kind of a wasted character. I don't mind the jokes, but I don't think that they become buddies. But as soon as the movie ends, and I'm talking about the very, very end of the movie. So Sidney Poitier's character has gotten himself shot. Well, he got himself shot on purpose. He didn't want the hostages to be taken. But it's like,
he knew that if he took the mother and daughter hostage, he was going to kill them.
Well, I get why you run and go, no.
Right.
But he got shot 3 times. He should have died.
He got shot where the squibs went off, and it's not in a major part of your body. That's how it works, Butler.
I get that.
I don't want him to die in this movie.
I don't want him to die in this movie either.
Because he has a great ending line. I love the end. I love the end of the movie. I love the line at the end. You don't like the line at the end? How do you not like the line at the end? That's one of the best parts.
Every damn day.
That's great.
That the movie just ends. It just cuts.
Hold on. First of all, the line is, he tells him, he's like, you FBI guys do this shit all the time. He's like, every damn day. And the fact that he's delivering that line, he delivers it like Sidney Poitier's way. Come on, that's a great line.
I like the way he delivers it, but the movie just ends right there.
What's the problem with that?
There's no.
What do you want them to do?
The entire movie is Knox going after Sarah.
Okay, is this the major part you don't like? This is what
I don't like.
Okay.
You never get a wrap up between him and Sarah. They don't have any dialogue together. It's nothing. It's useless. Their love story, not that they have a love story, but their connection, their closeness, it's pointless. Absolutely useless. It means absolutely nothing to me in this movie. It goes nowhere. And then their friendship just goes nowhere. There's no reconciliation. There's no closure with any of the characters. There's just this one end dialogue line, and the movie literally just cuts to the point where it was so bad and jarring that after the movie ended, after my YouTube video ended, I went and I YouTubed the movie again because I kept on. It's royalty free. Someone else has to have posted stuff from this movie, so I was like, "Where's the end of this movie?" So I found a couple of like people recording their VHS tapes. And the movie ends every freaking time like that. Because I was like, there's 3 minutes missing from my cut to what people say this movie is. It's got to be the end, right? It's got to be the end. And it just ends. And it's so frustrating.
What do you want at the end then?
Some kind of cathartic moment. Some kind of wrap up with these characters. Some kind of reason I was watching this movie. There's nothing.
So my argument to that.
I know they're going to get Steve. It's a movie.
My argument to that is that this story is about Stanton getting the bad guy, and it ends with Stanton getting the bad guy, and that's it. What do I need? I need to see a shot of Sarah and Knox on the ferry looking out, saying, "I think we should get married." Yes, me too. Like, I don't need that. I don't need that.
Or Knox, I want to introduce you to Sarah.
Okay, that's fine, but that can be done before that.
Something
that maybe they shot stuff and
it didn't work.
But this line works better than whatever they shot. Maybe that's why. But I don't mind, because I don't mind when movies end like that, because I don't need because when you know what your main story is, when you know what your plot is, or what your story you're trying to tell, when that story ends, it ends. It's over. Move on. Much like, I know, did you not like the end of Sopranos?
Well, the end of Sopranos is there to keep it open, to keep you guessing.
Right.
But I would have even been okay with every damn day pan out to his cart being put into an ambulance and it driving off and fade out.
A trope.
This sudden cut.
Yeah, why
this
not?
Just cut. I hate it. You know who can do that? Rocky. At the end of Rocky 1 when he hugs Adrian and it's that cathartic moment, it's that moment of elation in his face. And that's why Sylvester Stallone said, that's why I'm cutting it. If you ask me, tell Spottiswoode, why did you cut it right there? I don't know. I didn't like anything else we had after that. Like you said with the opening, that's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. I like the line. Okay. Don't just cut. And it's the most jarring, ugly cut I've ever seen in a film.
I
hate it.
Well, I didn't hate it as much as you.
I hate it.
Oh, geez, dude, calm down.
Hate it.
Just calm down. I don't hate that as much as you do. I just don't. I think it's fine. I've seen the endings that you're talking about. Like a movie like The Fugitive, when they end it that way, when he gets into the car and you see the car pull away and it pulls up and the credits roll.
Right.
That ending I get because we have been following Richard Kimball the entire time and we are invested in Richard Kimball having a good ending. Like, oh yeah,
Sure.
I get that.
Okay.
But I'm not invested in the story of Knox and Sarah.
Wait. So Kimball gets in the car with the Tommy Lee Jones's character.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't care. I don't. Cut. Done.
Yeah, I get
you don't
that.
even get the pan
I just
out.
told you why. I just gave you the reason why I wouldn't have it at that ending. In The Fugitive, yes, because I've been following Richard Kimball this entire time. I want to be eased out of his happy ending. Yes,
you want to be eased out.
I'm okay with the pull away. Like in the smile and all that stuff. I'm good with that. I'm saying in this movie, I'm not invested in Knox and Sarah. And that could be a dig into the discredit of the actual storyline where you're talking about we're not with the hikers enough. She's a throwaway character, like that kind of stuff. That ending goes along with what you're saying about how she's a throwaway character. And to be fair, it's not Knox's story. It's actually Stanton's story. So maybe,
I get that.
Maybe the real problem is there's not a good balance between Knox and Sarah's storyline than it is when Stanton. You know what I mean? It's almost like two different storylines where Stanton's going after the bad guy. And the only time we see Knox is when Stanton goes to Knox. We never see before that. We only see the hikers and we see Sarah with the hikers just to kind of set that up. But we never see anything with Sarah and Knox. So why should I be invested in that? And that could be what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I don't really need to. I'm okay with them not even have a moment as long as you give Stanton and Knox a moment that ends not so abruptly. Like I don't really get a chance to see Knox's reaction to it. None of that. I get nothing that should be in a buddy comedy or a buddy cop kind of thing or a buddy thriller or whatever we want to call it.
Buddy thriller.
Well, they're not both cops.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
I get nothing where there's this connection, and I still don't get that connection because you just cut it Stanton saying that line, and it's just like, again, maybe if it was just a smoother transition, but the editing sucked on it. The line was delivered great, but I also don't get any kind of ending with these characters. Stanton's half dead being put into an ambulance after he's broken probably tons of Canadian laws.
I would say that, no, they were at the Vancouver police. They were allowing them to let them do what they needed to do. You saw Die Hard with a Vengeance. They let them do that in Die Hard too. Come on. Remember Die Hard with a Vengeance when they're in Canada at the end and they're firing from the police shot?
Yeah, okay.
But I hear what you're saying. I think that the ending is Stanton's ending.
Sure.
And you're looking for more of a Knox, Sarah, at least some of their, like, just...
I'm just looking for a wrap up.
I get you, but I just think that that's probably part and parcel with the fact that there's not enough of their character development within the story for... Maybe they did shoot it and maybe they were like, it doesn't make sense because we have not met any of these people. I don't know.
I don't know. Then have him say the line and then it colorizes itself. And then like you get this like title ending song from like Whitney Houston singing it. Something more akin to like...
Why is Whitney Houston singing
I don't know.
it?
Something very 80s where it's like some kind of slow R&B song.
Like The Bodyguard?
Kind of, yeah. Like any of those movies. Yeah.
Memory. Okay.
We shoot to kill. And then the credits go up. Something that's more established. Something that's not such a... I just thought it was such an amateur, shitty cut at the end that it really ruined. Like I said, the line was great, and If you don't have wrap up, that's fine. But it just kind of seems like they just went, cut, we're done.
Jeez, man. You want someone to cut your meat at dinner too? I mean, come here, man. Come on.
No, come on.
No, you can.
You hate that introduction part. I can hate this ending part.
What part did I say?
The whole beginning.
I do. You're right. Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. But I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just curious if that kind of ending done well. Do you remember any kind of ending like where it just stops in a movie? I'm not trying to put you on the spot because I don't know.
I said curious. I know Rocky does. I know there are a couple movies that end on the end line,
and you're okay with it there. You're not. It's not that you're not. It's not that you're okay with ending a movie like that. You just think that
it's been done better.
Okay,
yeah.
And again, like I said, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I don't know.
It's not that I don't not like a movie ending on a line or an ending abruptly. It's how they do it, and this just seemed like such a random cut.
Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
The end of Patriot Games.
I haven't seen that in 20 years. Just remind me what the very end.
The end of Patriot Games, after everything, they're in the kitchen. Okay. And they get a call from the obstetrician, and they want to find out if they want to know the sex of the baby because she's pregnant.
Right.
And they're like, do you want to do it? I don't know. Do you want to do it? Yeah. Okay. And then they cut to her and she's like, thank you. And she hangs up and he goes, well, and it cuts. They never tell you the sex of the baby. Granted, if you read Jack Ryan, you know it's a boy.
It's a Jack.
Yeah. But so
it's a continuation.
Was that okay for you?
Yes, because that's more of a to be continued kind of a thing.
Okay.
And again, it's the way they cut as well as anything else. I don't know. Like I said, that colorizing and then the song kind of goes like do 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 boo boo do do like that kind. Again, I know you're not putting me on the spot, but I just in my brain.
No, I know because I don't
can't think of anything right off the spot. Because I know a bunch of movies end like that.
Okay,
and it's just the way this one does. And maybe it's because there's a little more. Maybe it's because he kind of moves his head a little bit and then they cut. Maybe it's not abrupt enough, or it's just too abrupt. I don't know exactly which.
Well, aside that part of the ending that you don't like, there are a couple things in the ending part that I'm going to bring up. I want to see if you like the fact that the gunshot effect under the water.
Oh yeah. As soon as that gun, again, this is something I brought up in Nice Guys. As soon as that gun goes in the water, if it's a 6-shooter, it does not work. It does not work in the water. There are certain pistols that will work in the water, but very few. 1988, all right, maybe more. And I'm not a gun expert, but I know that 6-shooter ain't working. But again, you have it up to his eye. I also don't know.
I just meant the gunshot effect. It was like outdoors.
Oh yeah, it was a full gunshot.
The echo, and I'm just like, what?
That's just kind of movie stuff, man. I was surprised how shallow the lake or the ocean, wherever they were.
Well, they're on a ferry.
I imagine it's Canada. It's got to be a lake.
They're in Vancouver, so it's probably a lake or the sea. Well, probably a lake.
Yeah, but I was surprised based on how big that ferry was, how shallow.
They're also at the dock, so
that's true. It's not that far out yet.
I love when they get on the ferry and he's like, "Where do we start?" And then he starts yelling. It's like, well, maybe not there.
Same thing. Steve.
Yeah.
Sarah.
How about don't yell and let them know where you are? That's probably a good thing. I mean, I know you're from I know you're from the woods, but you're not stupid.
Well, clearly he is. But like you, I also thought it should have ended in the woods.
I just think it would have been more interesting. Like you had that one, aside from them being on the ledge and then the bridge that you don't like, the little cart, which I thought was great. I would definitely take that.
I would take it a little bit more secure. But well, Steve did cut it.
But they never really, I thought there's probably more stuff they could have done there.
There absolutely is. They're setting up this whole issue where you think it's going to end with Knox trying to take the shot. And it's like Sidney Poitier's character trying to tell him basically, you don't got what it takes. I hunt these people for a living. It's what I do. You don't kill people. You're a tracker, yeah, but when it comes down to facing Steve alone, you're not going to be able to take him.
Right.
Because he's somebody who Stanton mentions earlier in the film. He's done this before. This isn't the first time. He knows how to kill. It doesn't bother him at all.
Yeah.
So I was expecting something where like maybe Knox can't take the shot or something like that. And Stanton has to stop him, and you don't get that. You just get, hey, you're in my territory now, kind of a thing. And
yeah, I think
it's like we saw you in the city already. We did that.
I guess it's 88, so it's almost 30 years ago. So maybe that really holds truer back then than it does now. But the idea that you're in my world now, and I don't, that makes more sense. Like somebody who's just always in the woods back in the 80s, because it is probably different
For sure.
And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Now everything's connected and everyone, you know,
There's wireless.
you may be
and
in
all that,
you may be in the woods, but you're connected to the world through the
You got
Wi-Fi
Elon
and the
Musk
5G.
Starlink connection.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit. It's you. If you're really going to go off the grid, you do it on purpose. Not you're just, you know, I'm out here now. I like the woods. I'm just basically off the grid. So
Right.
it's probably maybe that's a little bit. We're so used to you not being disconnected so much. But I hear what you're saying.
And I was kind of hoping for more of maybe like a First Blood or a Hunted type thing where it really becomes, they get to him and it becomes who knows the woods better in terms of the last action sequence. I was really hoping for more of that.
Well, that's the thing. Like Steve doesn't know. That's why the bad guy keeps Sarah alive, because he doesn't know how to handle nothing
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
But that means like he's really good at killing against these other two guys that are like, know the woods maybe more. Like Knox can help Stanton get the better of Steve. I don't know.
Well, that would be like if you had that ending in the woods, it would end up having to be Stanton against Steve, because Knox would have to get taken out of the equation because he's so adept at being, you know,
And
in
then
the
Stanton would have
wilderness.
to use what Knox kind of taught him.
Because I'm sorry, but like when Knox hit that rock face,
Oh yeah, he was out.
my
Yeah,
God, that hurt. That had to hurt.
I do like that scene where he scares away the bear.
That's a nice stunt. Oh, the bear thing.
The bear, yeah, when he's like,
he's like, you've never seen a black man.
everybody
before.
up here
Yeah.
acts like they ain't never seen a black man before.
Well, that's
Why
like-
should a bear be any different?
Right. That's like the dude's like, you really a G man? I'm
Yeah.
like, come on, man. It's like,
Really?
I mean, I love it. It's subtle. And if you're an idiot, you don't know what he's saying, but like you just,
Yeah.
it's there and you're just like, yeah, but it's
Exactly.
like, I can see that.
And he's just kind of also like, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just kind of ignore him.
But yeah, no, it was when he kept saying it, I'm just like, oh, dude, yes. it was bothering me. And the other thing was like 5 dudes, the one woman backer, of course, one woman tracker, of course they're making comments. Of course they're being stupid. Dad bod flirts trying to like thinking that she like, I mean, come on, guys, you guys.
Hey,
are
Sarah,
good.
how's it going?
Yeah, it's like, ugh.
Your boyfriend's really cool with you up here with these 5 guys?
Exactly. And they're just all like, hey, Sarah. Yeah, it's like, ugh. It's like, that's why I'm like, when they get pushed off, I'm like, fine.
Yeah, but at the same time, I like that you don't know.
No, that's the whole point. And I think this movie's made today. People would figure it out. People would guess. People would just constantly be on Twitter trying to figure it out. Like this story could be remade, but you would have to just be like, make it. Don't tell anybody. Don't announce it. Just go off because this was shot in like 23 days.
Right.
Go off somewhere and shoot it. Go up north. Go somewhere where there's nobody, and just do it. And don't say anything about who's what and who's who.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
have it just pop up and come out.
Yeah. You'd redo it, and I'd keep it more of a who's the killer for a lot longer.
I think I would do the same thing. You would have 5. I think you would have 5 guys in there that were all bad guys, and have them in the story.
Maybe
but
take
not
them
like
off
comic,
one
but like
by
don't
one.
put like somebody like Robert Englund in there. Like somebody like comically bad, like like just like people that typically play villains. Or you
Right.
So put them in there, and then obviously have the one person that's not. Or and I wouldn't even do like where you make the one nice guy the bad guy, like they do in Predators. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Don't do that.
You have him Hans Gruber it.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, no, I hear you. You could definitely remake this movie, but I would definitely keep it within the woods. I would not take it out. Maybe
Well, I
towards the
also
end
think-
a little bit, but not, maybe a small town, but not a city.
When you take it out of the city, Knox becomes superfluous at that point, and he just kind of is following Stanton around. It's just like,
Yeah.
why is he? So he's only here because Sarah, but he keeps doing all this cop stuff. He keeps running with Stanton, and no,
Yeah,
you wouldn't know.
I hear you.
You don't kidnap a guy. You don't fake kidnap a guy and then have him admit to where the diamonds are in that his offense.
Oh yeah, you
I'm
like
sorry,
that?
that's inadmissible in court. I don't care what he said.
Yeah, so
They just called me as a break-in.
Yeah,
I wrote it in the thing like, you're done, detective or superintendent. You're done. Your job's over. There's no way he's not pinning that on you. You are so going to get fired for that.
I mean, I got little things here and there, but we can wrap it up. But one of the moments I liked in the movie when he figures out he's eating rodent, when he's eating varmint.
No varmint.
And he's just like, come on. He's like, what does he say? He's like, no. He's like saying something like that.
You're
and he's-
lying. No, come on.
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
thought that was
oh.
funny.
I get how you feel. I think oysters taste like snot.
Oh, well, they do.
Jesus, I also like when they're almost freezing to death in the ice.
Oh, when
He's like, oh, Jesus, you smell. Do I smell like that? And he's worried about him smelling like that.
I always remember that scene too, when they getting buried with the snow and they dig it out.
Yeah.
See, there's stuff in the movie that happens, and it's so quick. Like that's an interesting scene. The scene where after he kills the hikers and he's just like, let's go. Oh, come on. And it's just like, let's keep moving. And then it ends. It's like, shit, whoa. Like there's stuff that just, and I mean, I guess you can lump in the ending to that too. There's stuff that just kind of just wraps up and ends and move on. Like they don't really, I mean, I don't know if that's in the edit. I don't know if they just, maybe this was like a 2.5 hour movie that had to cut down. I didn't find that facts anywhere.
No, but I think again, we watched 147.
That's 3 minutes you're talking. Like, I don't think it's.
Well, I'm saying, is something cut up? Is it just, I'm saying that the movie's not very long.
Yeah, which I appreciate.
But it could be 10 minutes longer. You could go to a 2.
I don't know.
It's a thriller. You could go to 2 hours on a thriller. I mean, look at Lethal Weapons are all like what, 220, 210?
Those are action thrillers. This is not like action like Lethal Weapon action.
Well, if you had the woods be more action packed.
Well, you're gonna, yeah. I mean, the ending is not really. I wouldn't say it's action. It's more just kind of. It's just trying to find them.
Right.
You know, like the ending. If you want an action ending, you're gonna have stuff where they're actually gonna be, you know, fighting and physically going at each other because he's not gonna have a hostage to take or something like that. Yeah. No, you would have to have something like that. Why do you think this is forgotten?
I don't know. Like, I know I crapped on
seriously
some parts of the movie.
Kind of been a jerk here, man.
But I really don't know. I love the way this opens. I think this movie grabs you in a way that very few movies do from back then, especially these cop thrillers that are so like copy paste. This movie really does like, oh man, they're going hard on this bad guy. This bad guy won right off the bat. He really won. And it just immediately grabbed me. I think it's shot very well. I like the wood scenes. You got Sidney Poitier in it.
Yeah, which is always good.
And it's like, I would want to see more of Stanton. Even if it wasn't shoot to kill, I would like to see more of him doing stuff. Kind of like Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. They just continued his character. Like, his character is cool. I really like, and it's probably just Sidney Poitier because he's really good. But I want to see more of his character. I want to see him take on more cases. Clancy Brown is great in this movie. I always like Clancy Brown. His acting credits. You look at his acting, he's prolific.
Well, he's in everything. He's in a lot of stuff.
Everything.
Yeah. I guess he's a character actor, but he's got a great voice. So he's in a lot of voiceover stuff. He's great in Shawshank Redemption. He's great in Starship Troopers. He's great in Highlander. This is
him coming pretty much right off of Highlander, right?
Highlander was 84. Is that right?
Sounds about right. I could be wrong.
I want to say that Highlander is 86. So
86. So this is probably 86. What got him that job. In this film,
maybe. Well, that's probably why he's in there, because he's a bad guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he's
good in he's good in roles where he's not the bad guy.
He is really good as a good guy too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's.
So I don't know, and I don't know why this is royalty free.
This movie's so forgotten. It's free to watch. I don't get why, with the exception of like some of the some of the sites out there that offer royalty free movies, or movies that are free, like the old films. You'll every once in a while you'll catch an 80s movie or 90s movie that's royalty free, but they're usually not great. They're just kind of okay.
Right.
This movie is more than just okay. This movie is a nice thriller, and it's a nice simple story where you can watch it on a movie night and be like, well, that's pretty good. Tom Berenger is a good actor. Sidney Poitier is a great actor. And they run the story. They run the movie. Like, it's their movie. Clancy, and maybe back then Clancy Brown, even though he is off of Highlander, he wasn't as well regarded as he is now because of his career. That's just the start of it.
He was just,
But those are three good people in the movie. And I know that Kirstie doesn't have a lot to do in the movie. She is in the and Cheers, and
she's a name to put in there.
Right.
She probably took the job.
But her character doesn't have a lot to do regardless, like you said. So it's not really, you can't really lay that at her feet in terms of the character shortcomings.
Right.
But I've always liked the movie.
Yeah.
I've always been into it. I know several people that like it too. So it's not like I'm like on an island here.
It made its money back then.
Yeah.
I really other than saying that the typical, well, there's nobody in there that's really famous now. I can't tell you why this movie's forgotten. This is one of the few ones where I can't even come up with anything.
It's not that I don't ever use this in terms of why I'm going to watch a movie, but it is also highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes. So,
it's got 100%.
Yeah. So, well, that's because it's only 7 people have reviewed it.
I get that.
There eventually will be a contrarian. I'm sure there'll be he or she is out there. Well, I'm going to tell you about this. But regardless of that.
Well, that would be one of the amateur reviews, though. The 7 reviews are the professional.
but they're all people that I guarantee you nobody has reviewed this movie since 1990.
I think sometimes they take those into account. They find like the old articles.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm just saying that it's a movie that's so forgotten that people don't even go back to it. Listen, if you're bored one night and you're on YouTube and you can get YouTube on your TV like most people can now these days, it's not a bad movie to put on. It's definitely worth it. I'm not trying to sell you. I don't want people to think that we're trying to be like, oh, it's a total 80s movie, or it's so bad it's good. It's not. It's a good film.
Yeah, it's actually good.
It's for some reason forgotten for I have no idea why it should be. This is probably one of the main examples that we have this podcast is for people to go see this movie. Yeah.
Blow up that guy's account. The one guy that's got the full movie.
Congrats, man. You're the only person that's offering it anyway. You really need to start monetizing that hardcore.
And the quality's good too. It's like a direct rip off of, I guess, a DVD or something he had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Check it out. You know what, Butler? Why don't you tell everyone else where they can check us out?
Oh, segues. Boom. You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. We are also on the social medias at Forgotten Cinema and Forgotten Cinema Pod, depending on where you are. We post things every weekday. We have fun commercials that we do every Thursday you can check out. We're available wherever you get your podcast. If you're not listening to this on our actual website, why don't you go ahead and give us a rating, a review,
Is anyone
subscribe.
listening to it on our website?
I don't think so. So where you're listening to this, go ahead and rate, review, and subscribe. That would help us out a lot.
And then join us next week as we will be doing a movie that was recommended to us by my daughter, Penelope, who, because it's her birthday next week, the day that this episode will come out, we are doing the movie Frankenweenie from 2012. Butler's already told me he's going to cry.
Yep.
To which I explained, grow up, because it's an animated movie. I don't know why you're going to cry.
Because it's still a dog.
I'm going to give you movies like this they're animated. So usually animated movies aren't considered forgotten. We've done a couple, but because this deals with the subject matter and because it's like a little darker, I can understand why people don't see this movie. But
I watch Nightmare Before Christmas all day, every day.
But not Frankenweenie.
I ain't watching
really.
Frankenweenie.
Really? Well, you are next week.
Listen.
You're watching it. I don't want to hear. You're not coming to the podcast, not watching the watching the movie.
We work at the theater, and I was in the booth one day in one of the scenes where the dog dies. Spoiler: he's Frankenweenie. I think it was a different time he does, though. And I was tearing up watching this 30-second scene of a dog dying.
Have you ever physically put a dog down? Have you ever been in the room?
I've never been in the room.
Yeah, I have twice. So I don't know why you're crying. I have.
Listen,
I've been there.
I have had 4 dogs.
Okay. I have watched the life go away from a dog. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So what's the situation?
You're gonna make me cry right now.
Snowflake. All right. Anyways, that's next week. Frankenweenie 2012. Butler will cry. He's a big baby. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema. Sack up!
Listen, Field, I faced the mafia. I faced the Ku Klux Klan. I faced the Russian mafia.
You would not even make it past the mafia if you faced them. Let's be honest.
Oh,
You're no Sidney Poitier.